The first thing I noticed that morning was the silence. Usually, on her birthday, my daughter Emma would wake me before sunrise. "Dad, Dad, wake up." She would jump onto my bed, pull the blanket away, and demand pancakes before I had even opened my eyes. But that morning, she didn't. I stood outside her bedroom door holding a small birthday gift, listening. Nothing. "Emma." I slowly opened the door. She was sitting beside the window, still wearing her pajamas. Her knees were pulled against her chest, and in her hands was a small notebook. She didn't turn around. "Happy birthday, sweetheart." "Thanks, Dad." Something about her voice made my smile disappear. She was only 9 years old, but lately she had become quieter. I had blamed myself for it. Ever since her mother, Sarah, left us 2 years earlier, I had tried to become everything Emma needed. Father, mother, cook, homework helper, birthday planner, nighttime monster protector. I wasn't perfect at any of it. I burned pancakes. I forgot school forms. I worked too many hours because someone had to pay the bills. But I never stopped trying. I walked over and sat beside her. "What are you writing?" "Nothing." I smiled. "That's a pretty serious nothing." She closed the notebook. "It's my birthday wish." That made me pause. Her birthday wish. I remembered being 9 myself. I had wished for a bicycle. Maybe Emma wanted a new doll. A puppy. A phone. "What did you wish for?" She stared at the floor. "I'm not supposed to tell." "Right. Birthday magic." I stood up. "Okay, get dressed. Your dad has a whole day planned." She didn't move. "Dad." "Yeah. Can I have something different this year?" I turned around. "Anything." Her eyes lifted toward mine. And then she said the words that changed my life. "I want a new father." I froze. For several seconds, I couldn't understand what I'd heard. "What?" "A new father." She looked down immediately. I tried to laugh, but no sound came out. "Emma, that's not funny." "I know." Her voice cracked. I sat back down. "Did someone tell you to say that?" "No." "Do you hate me?" Her eyes suddenly filled with tears. "No." "Then why would you wish for another father?" She wiped her cheeks. "Because..." She hesitated. "Because everyone else has a dad who comes to things." I felt something inside my chest collapse. "I come to your things. Sometimes." That one word hurt more than anything. She continued. "You missed my school play. I had work. You missed the father-daughter breakfast. I told you I was sorry. And you forgot my science project." "I didn't forget. I was going to." "You always say you're going to." I stopped. Emma wasn't angry anymore. She was crying. "I don't want a dad who is always tired," she whispered. "I want a dad who has time for me." I looked at my little girl and realized something terrifying. I had spent 2 years trying to keep her life from falling apart. But maybe without realizing it, I had become one of the things making her lonely. She stood up and walked toward the door. "Emma." She stopped. "I love you." Her shoulders trembled. "I know, Dad." Then she walked away. I remained sitting beside her window. Her birthday gift was still in my hand. A new bicycle. The thing I had saved for months to buy. But suddenly it seemed worthless. Because my daughter hadn't wished for something I could buy. She had wished for someone I couldn't become. Or maybe someone I had never given myself the time to become. That afternoon, I took Emma to her favorite diner. I ordered her chocolate pancakes, strawberries, and the ridiculous milkshake she loved. She barely touched any of it. I tried everything. Jokes, stories, questions about school. Nothing worked. Finally, I asked, "Do you want to go home?" She nodded. On the drive back, we passed a small community center. There was a sign outside. "Family Fun Day. Volunteers needed." I normally would have driven past, but then I saw something that made me slow down. A man was kneeling beside a group of children, helping them build a wooden birdhouse. He was laughing, actually laughing. He wasn't looking at his phone. He wasn't checking his watch. He wasn't trying to leave. He was simply there. Emma was looking at him too. "Who is that?" "I don't know." His name was Daniel. I learned that 3 days later. Because Emma started asking about him. "Are we going back to the community center?" "Why?" "Because I liked it." "You've never liked volunteering." She shrugged. "I liked him." The words hit me strangely. "Who?" "The man who helped the kids." I tried not to react. "Daniel?" "Maybe." A week later, I took her back. Daniel was there. He recognized Emma immediately. "Hey, birdhouse girl." Emma smiled. A real smile. I hadn't seen one like that in weeks. Daniel crouched beside her. You finished painting that one? Yeah. Let's see it. She excitedly showed him a picture on her phone. I stood several feet away, watching. Daniel listened. Really listened. When Emma spoke, he didn't interrupt. When she made a joke, he laughed. When she asked a question, he answered. And for the first time, I understood what she meant. She wasn't asking for a different father because she didn't love me. She was asking for the version of me she desperately needed. A father who had time. A father who listened. A father who wasn't always halfway out the door. That night, I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop. I looked at my work schedule. Then I looked at Emma's school calendar. There were dozens of little boxes. School assembly, science fair, parent meeting, soccer practice, art exhibition. I had missed more than I wanted to admit. I closed the laptop. The next morning, I called my manager. I need different hours. He laughed. You're the one who always takes overtime. Not anymore. You sure? I looked at Emma, sleeping on the couch. Yeah. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about how much money I could make. I was thinking about how much childhood I could give my daughter before it was gone. The first thing I changed was breakfast. Every morning, I had rushed Emma through cereal and toast. Now I made pancakes. Not good pancakes, but pancakes. The first one was burned. Emma stared at it. Dad, it's artistic. It looks like a tire. Still edible. She laughed. That laugh became my reward. Then I started walking her to school. I attended soccer practice. I helped with homework. I learned that she hated peas, loved astronomy, and had a secret obsession with drawing dragons. I discovered she was afraid of thunderstorms, but pretended she wasn't. I learned that she didn't like being called little girl because she thought it sounded childish. I learned that she wanted to be an illustrator someday. And slowly, she started talking to me again. But there was one problem. Daniel was still around, and Emma adored him. At first, I was jealous. I hated admitting it. Every time she mentioned him, something inside me tightened. Daniel showed me how to build a kite. Daniel knows how to fix bikes. Daniel said my dragon drawing was amazing. One evening, she looked at me. Dad, yeah. Do you like Daniel? I almost choked on my coffee. Why? Because you make a weird face whenever I talk about him. I do not. You do. I sighed. Daniel seems like a good guy. She smiled. That's good. Why? She shrugged. Because maybe he can help. Help with what? She looked down. Nothing. I knew that wasn't true. A few days later, Daniel came to our house to return a book Emma had forgotten at the community center. He stood on the porch. Hey, Michael. Hey. I was nervous. Ridiculously nervous. He handed me the book. She's a great kid. Yeah. She talks about you a lot. That surprised me. Me? Daniel smiled. More than you think. I didn't know what to say. Then he added, she doesn't want another father. My heart stopped. What? She wants her father back. I stared at him. Daniel continued. She told me once that her dad used to make her laugh all the time. Then life got hard, and he disappeared behind work. I swallowed. She said that. Not exactly like that, but that's what she meant. For the first time, I saw Daniel differently. He wasn't competing with me. He wasn't trying to replace me. He had simply noticed what I had refused to see. Thanks, I said. Daniel nodded. Don't thank me. Just show up. Those words stayed with me. Show up. That was it. Not expensive gifts. Not perfect parenting. Not heroic sacrifices. Just show up. 1 year later, Emma turned 10. I wanted to make it perfect. She wanted a small party. Just family. A few friends. And Daniel. When she told me Daniel was invited, I smiled. Of course. She stared at me. Really? Really? You're not mad? Why would I be? Because last year I said I wanted a new father. You sat beside her. Emma, I know what you meant now. Her eyes lowered. I was mean. No. I hurt you. You told me the truth. But I shouldn't have said it. I gently touched her shoulder. You were 9. You were lonely. You didn't know how to explain what you needed. She began crying. I pulled her into my arms. I should have been listening sooner. She hugged me tightly. I don't want another dad anymore. I closed my eyes. Good. She laughed through her tears. Because you're stuck with me. Forever. The party was beautiful. Pink balloons. A chocolate cake. Her friends running through the backyard. Daniel arrived carrying a large wrapped present. Emma ran to him. You came. Wouldn't miss it. I watched them. And I wasn't jealous anymore, because I finally understood something. Love wasn't a limited resource. Daniel could care about my daughter without taking anything away from me. Later, after everyone left, Emma opened Daniel's gift. It was a framed drawing, a picture of three people standing beneath a giant tree. Emma, me, and Daniel. I stared at it. What's this? Emma smiled nervously. That's us. Us. She nodded. Not like a family. I raised an eyebrow. Good clarification. She giggled. Daniel is like someone who helps us. Daniel smiled. Then Emma turned toward me. And you're my dad. She said it so simply, but it meant everything. I hugged her. Then I noticed something written at the bottom of the picture. Thank you for giving me my dad back. My eyes burned. I turned away so nobody would see me cry. But Emma did. Dad, I'm fine. You're crying. It's allergies. Inside, very aggressive allergies. She laughed. And I realized that sometimes the biggest miracles don't arrive as new people. Sometimes they arrive when old people finally decide to stay. I thought the hardest part of our story was behind us. I was wrong. Sarah called on a Tuesday. I hadn't heard her voice in nearly a year. Michael. I stood completely still. Sarah, can I see Emma? My first instinct was anger. But then I remembered Emma. I told her yes. Sarah came the following weekend. Emma was nervous. She had asked me 20 times what she should wear. When Sarah arrived, Emma stood behind me. Her mother looked different, older, tired, regretful. Hi, sweetheart. Emma didn't move. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I know I don't deserve a hug. Emma stared at her. But I'm still your mother. That finally broke the wall. Emma ran to her. I stepped outside. I gave him privacy. An hour later, Emma came into the kitchen. Dad. Yeah. Mom wants to come back. I stopped cutting vegetables. What? She says she made mistakes. I placed the knife down. And what do you want? Emma looked confused. I don't know. That's okay. Are you going to be mad? No. She studied my face. Are you scared? I didn't lie. Yeah. Why? Because I don't want you hurt again. She hugged me. I have you. Those 4 words were enough to break me. But the situation became more complicated. Sarah wanted custody. She claimed she had changed. She wanted to rebuild her relationship with Emma. And I knew I couldn't keep Emma from her mother. But I also knew that Emma was terrified of losing me. One night, she asked me something I will never forget. If Mom comes back, will you leave? I turned toward her. Why would I? Because grown-ups always leave. He sat beside her. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Promise. She put her head against my chest. Then she whispered, even if Mom becomes my family again. I kissed her forehead, especially then. I realized that night that being a father wasn't about winning against Sarah. It wasn't about proving I was better. It was about making sure Emma never again believed love had to be earned by choosing sides. Months passed. Sarah slowly rebuilt her relationship with Emma. They had weekend visits, phone calls, mother-daughter lunches. Emma became happier, but then she started acting strangely again. She stopped asking me to attend school events. She stopped showing me drawings. She became quiet. One night, I found her sitting at the kitchen table. There was a piece of paper in front of her. What are you doing? Nothing. I smiled. That's your favorite answer. She covered the paper. I sat across from her. Bad day. She nodded. Want to talk? No. Okay. I stood. Then she said, Dad. I turned. Yeah. What if I make another birthday wish? Her birthday was still months away. My stomach tightened. Then you make it. What if you don't like it? I'll survive. She stared at me. Then she whispered, I wish Mom and Daniel could be my parents too. I didn't react, but my heart did something strange. I wasn't angry. I wasn't jealous. I was sad because I realized Emma still thought family meant collecting people who could fill different empty spaces. I walked over. Come here. She climbed into my arms. Emma, you don't need to choose. But I want a family that stays. I closed my eyes. That sentence hurt because she wasn't talking about Daniel. She wasn't talking about Sarah. She was talking about the years when everyone had disappeared. So I did something I had never done before. I invited Sarah and Daniel to dinner. All 4 of us sat at the same table. Emma looked confused. What is this? I smiled. Your family meeting. She laughed. Sarah looked nervous. Daniel looked equally uncomfortable. I took a breath. Emma needs all of us. Sarah nodded. Daniel looked at me. You sure? Yeah. I looked at Emma. You don't need a new father. She stared at me. You already have one. Her eyes filled. But you can have people who love you too. Sarah reached across the table. Daniel smiled. And Emma began crying. Not because she was sad. Because for the first time, she could see that maybe her family didn't have to look like everyone else's. Maybe broken families could become something new. Something stronger. Something chosen. Everything seemed better. Until the accident. It happened during a storm. Emma was at Sarah's house. At 9:47 p.m., my phone rang. Sarah. I answered immediately. Michael. Her voice was shaking. What happened? Emma fell. My blood turned cold. Is she breathing? Yes. Is she conscious? Yes, but I was already grabbing my keys. I'm coming. The hospital lights were too bright. The hallway smelled like antiseptic. I found Sarah crying beside the emergency room. Where is she? They're checking her. I turned toward the doctor. I'm her father. The doctor looked at me. She has a concussion. We're monitoring her. My knees nearly gave out. Sarah grabbed my arm. I'm sorry. I looked at her. This isn't your fault. But I was supposed to protect her. So was I. The doctor finally allowed us inside. Emma was lying beneath a white blanket. Her eyes were half open. Dad. I moved instantly. I'm here. She looked at Sarah. Mom. I'm here, baby. Then she looked at Daniel. He had arrived too. Daniel? Right here. Emma smiled weakly. All of you came. I took her hand. Of course. She closed her eyes. And then she whispered. I made another wish. My heart tightened. What wish? She opened her eyes. I wished I could have all of you forever. Nobody spoke. Emma started crying. I don't want anyone to leave again. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. Listen to me. She looked at me. You don't have to wish for that anymore. Why? Because we already decided. Sarah took Emma's other hand. Daniel stood beside her. We're staying, Sarah whispered. Emma looked at all of us. Then she cried harder. But this time, those tears were different. They weren't tears of fear. They were relief. The doctor eventually told us she would recover. We stayed beside her all night. None of us slept. At sunrise, Emma woke up and found all three of us still there. She smiled. See? I asked what? My wish worked. I smiled through tears. No, sweetheart. She looked confused. Your wish didn't work. Her face fell. Then I squeezed her hand. Something better did. 3 months later, Emma turned 11. The house was full of balloons. Sarah brought cake. Daniel brought gifts. I made pancakes. They were still terrible. Emma took one bite. Dad. What? This is awful. Family tradition. She laughed. Then she gave me a small envelope. For you. I opened it. Inside was a letter. My hands began shaking before I even finished the first line. Dear Dad, do you remember my birthday when I wished for a new father? I stopped reading. Emma watched me. Keep going. I swallowed. I thought I wanted someone else because I thought you didn't love me anymore. But I was wrong. You loved me. You were just tired. You were scared. You were trying to fix everything by yourself. My vision blurred. When you started coming to my school things, walking me to school, making pancakes, listening to my stories, and staying when I needed you, I realized something. I didn't need a new dad. I needed my dad. I couldn't continue. I looked at Emma. She was crying. So was Sarah. Even Daniel had turned away. I laughed through my tears. Okay. Who invited everyone to cry? Emma stood up. She came toward me and hugged me. I have one more thing. What? She handed me another paper. It was an old drawing. The same drawing from her 10th birthday. Emma. Me. Daniel. The tree. But she had added something. Sarah was standing beside us. And underneath the drawing were the words. My family doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to stay. I hugged her tightly. Then I whispered, do you remember what you wished for when you were 9? She nodded. A new father. And now. She pulled back. Her face was wet with tears. Now I wish I could keep this one. I laughed. I'm not going anywhere. She hugged me again. But then she whispered something that made my heart break all over again. Dad. Yeah. I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't enough. I held her face in my hands. Emma, listen. She looked at me. You were never responsible for making me feel like enough. But, no. I kissed her forehead. You were a child asking your father to notice you. She cried, and I should have noticed sooner. For years, I thought being a good father meant protecting Emma from every pain. I thought it meant working harder, earning more, buying better gifts, fixing every problem. I was wrong. Being her father meant being there. It meant listening to the boring stories, watching the terrible school plays, sitting through soccer games in the cold, making burnt pancakes, answering questions at midnight, holding her when she was afraid. And sometimes, it meant hearing something that broke your heart without punishing the child who said it. Emma's birthday wish had once destroyed me, but had also saved us. Because if she hadn't said those words, I might never have realized how far away I had become. I looked around the room. Sarah was laughing with Emma. Daniel was pretending not to steal frosting from the cake. And my daughter was standing in the middle of it all. Happy, safe, loved. She had once asked for a new father, but I had finally understood what she was really asking for. She wasn't asking me to disappear. She was asking me to come back. And this time, I did.